The Red Magic 8S Pro is the world's most powerful phone since it's got the fastest SoC on the Android side of things. This one, it's powered by Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, but the chip, it's been overclocked. The prime core here reaches 3.36 GHz instead of 3.2, while the Adreno 740 GPU inside hits 719 MHz instead of 680. Now, if these numbers sound familiar to you, it's because we've seen this before with the S23 series. Samsung calls this chip Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy, while Red Magic is calling it just the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 leading version. Now, the big difference here is that the S23 phones weren't built for just gaming. The Red Magic 8S Pro is, meaning there's a lot more focus on sustained performance here. Nubia has basically ensured that if you're gaming on this phone for a long time, the performance you get by the end of your session, it should be more or less similar to what you got when you started. How they've managed to do this is by re-engineering their ice cooling solution. They've used a very large cooling plate, their largest ever, and on top of that, there's also a 20,000 RPM fan here with vents to both sides. This vent, it pulls cool air in, while the hot air gets exhausted via this one. It's worth noting that due to these vents, there is no ingress protection on this phone. Now, the fan itself is pretty silent. If you really wanted to hear it, you need to be in a totally silent room and have the speaker muted. Now, before we continue, hey guys, my name's Ash. Today on C4E Tech, we are going to be taking a detailed look at the world's most powerful phone, the Red Magic 8S Pro. First, let's go ahead and cut through the protective plastic and peel it off. The box looks quite similar to what we got with the 8 Pro. It's got the same reflective text, the same Win More games. Opening it up, there's a black insert here with Red Magic branding. Inside, we've got a SIM ejector tool, the regular information booklets, and a transparent hard case. Let's set that aside and get to the main event. This is the Red Magic 8S Pro. Let's remove the plastic cover. I really love how this back looks. By the way, let's also take that sticker off and put the case on. Now, this variant, it's called Midnight. The 8S Pro is also available in a silver finish called Platinum, and then there's the transparent version we all love called Aurora. Getting back to the box, we then have this card, a red USB Type-C to Type-C cable, and finally a 80-watt fast charger. The 8S Pro continues to house a sizable 6000 mAh battery, and with the included 80-watt charger, this phone can be charged from 0 to 100 in just 35 minutes. It's worth noting that globally, the 8S Pro ships with a 65-watt charger and takes 5 minutes longer to charge. Still, good stuff. Now, despite housing a 6000 mAh battery, this phone's only 228 grams heavy. Nubia claims they've managed to do this by going with aviation-grade aluminum for the middle frame, and they've also kept the phone reasonably slim at 9.5mm. Up top, we have a headphone jack, a secondary noise-cancelling microphone, and the second speaker. The intake vent we saw earlier and the volume keys are present to the left. To the bottom, we've got the SIM tray, the primary microphone, a USB Type-C port, and speaker. This Type-C port can do video out, so if you want to dock this phone and use it as a console, you sure can. Now, to the right, we've got the capacitive keys, the intake vent, the power button, another microphone, and the game space toggle. The back looks quite clean. I love these concentric circle patterns that you can see when it reflects light. The branding, the logo, and even the fan, they're all very muted. But if we wanted them to pop, we could go ahead, turn on the LEDs, and now we get a more gamery aesthetic. Now, for people who've been following me, you know that I'm not a fan of boxy designs, and this is very much a boxy design. That said, I still can't help but be wowed by this phone, the sheer tech that's gone into it, especially when you flip it over. This here is an uninterrupted display with a selfie camera buried underneath. The area covering the camera now has the same pixel density as the rest of the panel, so unless the screen's totally white and you're looking at it from extreme angles, you really can't notice that patch anymore. Now, this is a 6.8-inch 10-bit AMOLED panel with a Full HD Plus resolution and 120Hz refresh. There is no LTPO tech, but you can manually choose 60 or more importantly 90Hz if needed. It also is quite bright with a peak of 1300 nits. Now, this display is covered by Corning's Gorilla Glass 5 for protection. Overall, it's a beautiful panel to game on or even watch videos. We've already seen the synthetic numbers. Let's now take a look at some actual gameplay. Diablo Immortal runs 60 FPS smooth at high graphics, As you can see, we've got a couple of actions mapped to the capacitive keys up top. Now, Genshin Impact runs at 60 FPS too, with everything maxed out. Of course, games that support 120 can be pushed even further. Now, from an emulation perspective, here's the Nintendo Switch being emulated. Pretty stable 60 FPS. The game looks beautiful, the experience was really awesome. Now I'm sure I'm gonna get this question, I'm using the GameSir X2 Pro. For those interested, Nubia has actually partnered with GameSir to offer their own controller, which is just a reskinned version. And PS2 with a 2x upscale, one of the harder to run games, God of War 2, it ran really smooth. So gaming performance is top notch, the haptics are great, the stereo speakers and uninterrupted AMOLED panel, they just make the experience even better. Now this here is Red Magic OS built atop Android 13, and the regular interface, it isn't all that different from what we usually see. Given the sheer amount of performance underneath, it's no surprise the 8S Pro is very snappy and responsive. Now there are two areas where Nubia provides extensive customizations. The first is with the camera, the next is with gaming. Hit this toggle and you get into the game mode. Games you install will be auto added here, and if needed you can add them manually. Now when you're in a game, pull in from the side and you bring up the gaming menu. From here you get to do all the regular stuff like disabling notifications, having mini apps float on screen to quickly check stuff, selecting performance profiles, turning the fan on and off, bypassing charging entirely to let the phone run off a power adapter. There is a lot baked in, it's all pretty self-explanatory. The game-related functionality here runs pretty deep, and it's obvious that a lot of effort was put into this. I did cover this in more detail with my Red Magic 8 Pro video, so I'll leave a card to it here, check it out for more information. A side effect of having the selfie camera under the display is that the selfie quality takes a hit, and that's the case here with the 8S Pro too. The selfies, they are average at best even in well-lit conditions. When you shoot indoors or under mixed lighting, they're pretty bad. Like the selfie camera, the ones to the back haven't changed either since the last time around. We still get a triple camera setup. The primary is the Samsung GN5, a 50 megapixel sensor paired with a f1.9 lens. It's decent, and a good light, it shoots detailed images with good dynamic range. It even does reasonably well under low light. Not best in class or anything, but pretty good. For video, it can go up to 8K 30 FPS, but the lack of stabilization hurts here. At 4K 60, you get EIS, and the footage turned out pretty good. The 8 megapixel ultra wide is nothing to write home about. Though this time, they've kinda gotten the colors closer to the primary. They've not matched it or anything, but they've gotten it closer than the last time I took a look at it when I was testing out the 8 Pro earlier this year. Now the third one is a 2 megapixel macro. It's nothing but a waste of space. So guys, this is the Red Magic 8S Pro. It starts at $650 for the base version globally. In China, it's about $100 cheaper at 39.99 yuan, which is understandable. Now, no matter the market, for the price, the 8S Pro sure seems to be offering a hell of a lot of performance. What do you guys think about this phone? Let me know. Also, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.